Hello, everyone, and welcome to this open resource on codes and themes. And today I'm going to be showing you just a general summary of what exactly codes are and how exactly do we go about coding within our information to create these overarching themes. So what exactly is a code first off? So a code is generally a word or possibly a phrase used by researchers to describe a unique portion of the data they are analyzing. Codes are ways researchers add meaning to the content they are analyzing. Essentially, codes create the bones of your analysis. They are the foundation of your research data analyzation. And whenever we are going through the coding process, we consider it to be a multi-level one. So kind of like a set of stairs. It has multiple steps in order to reach the end of the process. And typically, we consider the coding process to consist of three primary steps. So within level one, the researchers are simply performing this initial coding to break down qualitative data into discrete parts, closely examining them and comparing them for similarities and differences. This step has a goal to remain open to all possible theoretical directions indicated by your reading of the data. During the level two process, researchers re-examine and refine their level one codes, and this allows researchers the opportunity to compare, reorganize, or focus their codes into categories. For example, researchers will continue to compare their codes to each other to collapse and eliminate any sort of redundancies that they find throughout their data. And during the level three coding process, the codes are examined once more to begin grouping similar information to develop overarching categories and themes. Now, let's get into an example of how exactly do we start our coding process. Now, I want you to keep in mind as we are going through this example, we're going along an example that is typically what we consider thematic analysis. Now, there are different types of analyses that you can do in order to start analyzing qualitative data. If you're interested in learning about different types of analyses that you can use throughout qualitative data, check out our other chapters in our open resource manual. But for now, keep in mind as I'm going through this coding example, we are using thematic analysis. Now, what exactly is going to be coded? Well, essentially everything. This is where your instinct and the researched questions start to come into play. Depending on what exactly is the purpose of you going through this document, going through this qualitative research is what is going to be coded. So as you are going through your coding process, make sure to keep in mind that we are going to be open to everything and we are going to follow our instincts and write down what we believe may be significant to our research question or research possibilities that we are trying to find. So something that I want to keep in mind while we begin the coding process is typically we follow a mechanics of coding. So first thing we're going to do is we are going to recognize, well, what exactly are we trying to work with? Is it an interview transcript, some field notes, or other information? And we are going to organize this information and we're going to copy and paste it over into a Word document. Once we have all this information that we are hoping to analyze in a Word document, we're going to go through and do something called pre-coding. So pre-coding, what you are going to do is you're going to read through your document a few times to familiarize yourself with it. Then you're going to start highlighting or underlining significant phrases or moments of worthy attention. So again, this is where you start to follow your instinct or keep in mind that initial research question you're hoping to answer, and you start highlighting and underlining things that you believe are going to be worthy to your analyses. Then you can start going through and you can start coding these different things that you have highlighted or underlined. Now let's head over to a Word document and see an example of how exactly we would go through this. Alrighty, everyone. So here on this Word document is an interview transcript that has been copied and pasted over. Here you'll see a interview and participants' responses and questions asked, and concerns to asking a participant about their high school advising experiences and also college advising experiences. So what I did is I read through this document a couple times to familiarize myself with it. Then I started going through and I kept in mind, well, how exactly is this participant responding to questions? So as we can see here in the third line, the interviewer had asked, tell me about your experiences with advising in high school. And the participant had responded, it wasn't really that like you would go there if you needed a schedule change, but it wasn't really necessary or like involved, I guess. So I asked myself, what is the important things that I can take out of this response? And I found that, well, it looks like this participant is responding. They had limited prior use of advising, and they only really went to their advisor for scheduling. So I want to make a comment of that. So what I do is I highlight the information that I had just reviewed, and I go over to the review function on the Word document, and I click on New Comment. Then I'm able to type in what I had just said. So I saw they were talking about limited prior use of advising, and they only really went to them for scheduling. Let's go through another example. So we can see here the interviewer respond. You had an advisor in high school. Did you ever go to the advisor for anything? And the participant responded, yeah, just to get schedule changes, stuff like that. So I'm going to highlight that piece of information that I am like, okay, I feel like that's a worthy response. And I'm going to go back up to review, new comment, and we're going to comment, okay, looks like they primarily went to their advisor for scheduling only. Now, that is what I had done throughout the whole document. So, as you can see here, there are a lot of comments, and there are a lot of summaries within these comments about how exactly the participant responding to the interview questions. So, as one may assume, coding is a time-consuming process. If you are someone who has multiple transcripts and multiple field notes to get through, make sure you are giving yourself enough time to go through and familiarize yourself with your documents and start to make these initial comments on responses you may see throughout your documents. So now that I have some comments made throughout my documents, and I can see here that we're starting to have some different kinds of patterns go on throughout the documents, I can start going through and creating my codes and finding where overarching themes are being created. Let's head over to a code book to check how that would look. Here we have an example of a loose code book. So within this code book, you will find a number of codes along with the location of these codes throughout the interview transcripts and the overarching themes of these codes. So let's head over to one that we will be more familiar with. So at the bottom of my loose code book, I have listed out codes that I saw throughout my document or general patterns that I was seeing throughout the participants' responses. So if you may go back to our Word document example previously in the video, we saw twice already that we were seeing they use their advisors mainly for scheduling. So I wrote that down as one of my codes, and to the right of it, I said, which interview transcript is this located, and what exact line is this located in within the interview transcript? And those are the numbers that you see to the right. Now, throughout the Word document, I also noticed a few times that participants were saying they typically went to them for general academic follow-ups with grades and other sorts of things. And I put where those were located. And then also that their counselor was personal, trustworthy, and where that was located, and so forth. So Generally, we see that if we compare all of these codes together, the overarching theme of them is they're talking about their experiences with high school advising. So a theme that came out of this data was experiences with high school advising was one of the main things that these participants talked about, and the overall quality of those experiences was talked about. Now, as you can see, going through a coding process is a very time-consuming process, and you need to make sure you give yourself plenty of time to go through and do this. And it is also an enjoyable process where you can find some really quality data from participants and other forms of data, where you can start to create these overarching themes to help answer any research questions you may have in mind. I hope this video was helpful for you. And if you have any other questions, please check out the rest of the information that we have in our open resource manual. And I hope you have a wonderful day.